Have you ever stood close to danger, felt your knees shake, then whispered, "I trust God"? Daniel did. He was thrown into a pit of lions because he prayed, yet his quiet faith became stronger than fear. Listen closely. I will tell you what I saw, what I heard, and how a whisper turned night into hope. I walked the palace halls with quiet feet, carrying scrolls for the scribes. Everywhere I went, I heard soft voices that curled like snakes. They spoke Daniel's name, not with respect, but with a sting. Daniel was honest, gentle, and wise. The king trusted him more than all the others. That trust felt like sunlight, and jealous hearts hid from it. The officials made a plan. They smiled at the king, then sharpened a trap in secret. "Sign a law," they said, "so no one can pray to anyone but you." The king liked their praise, and he did not see the teeth inside the smiles. He signed the rule with his ring. I held my breath. I knew Daniel prayed 3 times a day with his windows open toward home. I could almost hear his soft voice in my memory, steady and kind, like water in a small stream. The law was like a net, and they were sure it would catch him. I pressed the scrolls to my chest and whispered, "God, please help him." In that moment, the air felt heavy, as if a storm was coming. Yet far away I felt a spark of hope. Real. Daniel knew the new rule, but his heart did not change. At sunrise he opened his window toward Jerusalem, just as he always did. The city noise hummed below, yet his room felt like a quiet hill. He knelt, folded his hands, and spoke to God in a soft voice. I watched from the far end of the street, hiding behind a cart. His words were not loud, but they felt strong, like a lamp inside a dark tent. Officials crept near the doorway, counting each prayer like coins. They smiled when he finished, then hurried away to the king. I wanted to run and warn him, but I was only a servant, and my legs shook. Daniel stood, calm and gentle, then prayed again at noon, and again at dusk. He did not shout. He did not argue. He simply trusted. The law was a stone, heavy and hard. His faith was water, quiet and patient. Water does not fight the stone. It moves around it, and over time it shapes it. That day I learned courage can whisper. It does not need drums. It needs a window, a kneeling heart, and steady breath. I kept watching, holding hope. The officials rushed to the throne room, their robes swishing like wings. They bowed low, their mouths sweet, their plans bitter. "O king," they said, "Daniel has broken your law. He prays to his God, not to you." The words struck the room like iron. The king's face changed. He loved Daniel. He trusted his hands and his mind. He looked for a way to save him, reading the law again and again. But the rule was sealed with the ring. The sun moved across the floor, slow as worry. Servants whispered. Guards waited. The officials smiled in corners. At last the king called for Daniel. I stood near the door as Daniel entered, calm as morning light. The king's voice shook. Your God, whom you serve always, may he save you. Daniel bowed his head, and I felt tears rise in my eyes. Outside, the crowd gathered, feet scraping, voices tight with fear and rumor. The path to the den was dusty and long. I walked behind, my hands cold, my heart knocking like a fist on wood. I wished the law could melt. I wished fear could break. I whispered a prayer and kept walking. One step more. The den lay below a low hill, a dark mouth in the earth. Guards pushed the heavy stone aside, and a stale smell rose up like smoke. I heard the lions before I saw them, a deep humming growl that shook my chest. Daniel stood at the edge, his robe dusty, his hands gentle at his sides. He did not plead, he did not run, he looked up, not down. The king stepped close and whispered, "Forgive me." Then he turned away in pain. The guards moved. Daniel closed his eyes and prayed. He climbed down the rough wall, slow and sure. The lions shifted in the gloom, tails sweeping the dirt, eyes like fires. I pressed my fingers to my lips to keep from crying out. When Daniel reached the floor, he knelt. His voice was soft, a thread of sound, yet it filled the hole like light. The guards rolled the stone back over the mouth. Dark covered him, silence dropped like a blanket. Dust floated in the air. I could taste it on my tongue. I put my ear to the rock and whispered, "God, be near." The stone felt cold. My fear felt warm. Night began. Hours passed, slow as dripping wax. Inside the den, the lions moved like shadows. I could not see them now, but I could feel their weight in the ground. Each breath rumbled. Each step stirred dust. I pictured their teeth, curved and bright. I pictured Daniel, small beside them, yet not alone. He was praying. I knew he was praying. His prayers were like soft lamps, set one by one along a long hallway. When fear tried to blow them out, another light was lit. The lions drew near. Their paws thudded. Their breath warmed the dark. I held the stone with both hands, and I prayed too, in a whisper that trembled. God of Daniel, hear us. Far below, something changed. The growls faded. A hush settled like snow. I did not understand it, yet my heart became calm. I leaned my head against the rock and closed my eyes. I pictured a hand between teeth. I pictured peace inside a place made for fear. Above us the stars turned. The city slept. The night felt long, but it did not feel empty. It felt held. Somewhere in the dark, a holy watcher stood guard beside Daniel all night. At dawn, a pale stripe of light touched the hill. The city yawned awake, but my eyes were fixed on the stone. Suddenly, I knew what the hush had been. An angel had come, bright without burning, gentle without fear. I could not see him, Yet my heart showed me a picture. A figure stood between Daniel and the pride, hand outstretched, peace flowing like water. The lions lay down, great heads on their paws, eyes closing. Daniel's whisper turned to thanks. Inside the den, where death should have ruled, life sang softly. I pressed my cheek to the rock and wept with relief. God had answered. Some say courage is loud, but here it was quiet. A steady voice, a kneeling man, a guarding angel. The sun climbed, birds began to call. I wiped my face and waited for the king, because I knew he would run. In my mind I saw the angel still standing, bright as morning, until the stone moved again. Nothing had changed on the hill, yet everything had changed below. Fear had lost its roar. Hope rose like the sun over Babylon, slow, warm, and sure for every heart that waited by the stone. All night the palace was quiet, yet the king did not sleep. He sent away music, candles, and food. He walked the floor, hands clenched. His mind replayed Daniel's kindness, his wisdom, his faithful prayers. When the first bird sang, the king hurried from the palace, his robe lifted as he ran, guards struggling to keep pace. I ran too, my breath sharp in the morning air. We reached the hill as the light widened. The king's face was pale, his eyes bright with worry and hope. He called to the guards, "Move the stone." They heaved and pushed. Grit fell like rain. The opening gaped, cool and black. The king leaned forward and cried out, his voice breaking, "Daniel, servant of the living God, has your God saved you?" Silence stood for a heartbeat. 2, 3. I held my breath until my chest hurt. The palace, the law, the night, every fear we had carried, waited for one answer. My hands shook. I whispered, "Please, Lord." Then I heard it, a voice from the dark, steady and alive. Everything inside me leaped. Joy rushed through the king like light, quick and bright, chasing every shadow away that remained anywhere. "O King, live forever," Daniel called, his words warm as bread. My God sent his angel. He shut the lions' mouths. They have not hurt me, because I was found innocent before him, and before you. The king covered his face and wept. He waved to the guards, and they lowered ropes into the den. Daniel rose from the dark like a man from sleep. His robe was whole, his skin was unmarked. He smiled up at the light, and I felt my knees grow weak. Hands pulled him to the surface. The crowd gasped and cheered. I wanted to hug him, but I only pressed my hands together and thanked God. The king held Daniel's shoulders and looked into his eyes. "Your God lives," he said. "He has saved you." The hill felt like a holy place. Even the wind seemed to whisper a song. I looked at the mouth of the den and thought of the night. Fear had opened its jaws. Faith had closed them. In my heart I whispered, "I saw it. I will never forget." The story would travel through every street, every home, every child's memory. like light poured into empty rooms for years. The king ordered justice. The men who had plotted were brought to the hill. Their faces, once proud, were pale. They had used the law as a trap. Now the truth stood clear. The guards opened the den. The lions moved with sudden power. I turned my face away and held my breath. It was quick, and it was terrible. Then the stone rolled back again. The king lifted his voice to all nations under his rule. He sent a decree across the land. Fear the God of Daniel, for he is the living God. He rescues and he saves. He performs signs and wonders. His kingdom will never end. As the word spread, the city changed. People spoke more softly. People prayed with open windows. Children learned Daniel's name and asked for the story again. The palace halls felt warmer. I carried new scrolls, each stamped with hope. Justice had come, but mercy had shone brighter. The den remained, yet it no longer frightened me. I had seen lions bow to the Lord. I had seen a king bend his heart toward truth and kindness. I had seen fear shrink like smoke when faith rose like morning light before. That evening I walked home by the river. The water carried the sky, blue and bright. I thought about Daniel's window, the kneeling, the soft voice that never stopped. I thought about the law, hard like stone, and faith, gentle like water. I thought about the angel who stood in the dark and made a room of peace. I was only a servant, yet my heart felt tall. I had seen courage up close. It did not shout. It whispered and it stayed. Now, when fear tries to fill my chest, I remember the den. I remember the stone, the hush, the morning call, the living voice from below. I open my own small window, and I pray toward home. I ask God to make my heart steady, my steps kind, my words true. I ask Him to help me trust in quiet ways. Even when laws or people push me down, I tell this story to children by lamplight. I let the last line rest like a blanket. My God is with me. They smile. I smile too. We sleep in peace. And if danger comes, we will whisper courage together and watch fear fade like night to nothing. If this story touched your heart, imagine how many more lives could be changed if more people heard it. Share this video with a friend who needs courage today. And don't forget subscribe to this channel so you never miss another story of hope and faith. Together, let's keep these timeless stories alive.